Toxic relationships are everywhere. So we're giving you 5 examples of toxic relationships that get increasingly more toxic so you can avoid them. Put on your hazmat suit and let's jump into number 5.
Burger King foot lettuce.
Today I effed up by ignoring a helicopter crash where I could have saved someone because my wife said, it's not worth your time.
Yikes.
Kobe could have survived. No! So this happened, I don't know, in 2008, and it's a memory that unfortunately won't go away in my life. It popped up again unintentionally and unprovoked the other night, and it just doesn't sit right with me, and I'm always left with regret and a remorse. So the year was 2008 or so. I tried Googling the news headlines to corroborate my claim, but I'm not very good with that sort of advanced research. My then wife at the time is not a good person at heart. Yikes.
Called it.
She was a Karen in training and very self-centered. We were heading up the 101 in California for her cousin's wedding one weekend. I want to say it was around Salinas before the exit to head west to Monterey. That is when the accident happened. I saw a spray helicopter about 100 yards on our right take off from the fields and watched it get about 50 feet in the air, not too high for a helicopter, but enough to be low for a helicopter. I saw it hovering there and then saw the propellers for a second quite visibly, which caught my attention because you should honestly never see them rotating that fast when airborne. So now I'm paying complete attention to the helo, which I guess is short for helicopter, and I watched smoke come out of its engines and then just stop and plummet to the ground like a rock. I saw it happen and pointed it out, and I started to pull over to the shoulder to help, and she yells at me, "What are you doing?" I'm pulling over to help. What are you going to do? I've got a fire extinguisher in the car. I can go put out the flames and try and pull them out. You're not a Marine anymore. You can't just go running off and saving people anytime anymore, but they could be hurt, and I see smoke everywhere. No, we're going to be late for the wedding. Let someone else deal with it. So away we went. I found out later on during the week in the news that 2 people died inside the fire before emergency services got there. The worst part is that when we finally arrived to her cousin's wedding, we found out that we were deemed unimportant enough for the actual ceremony, and it was the reception we were hurrying to. I feel like those deaths are on me, and I should have done something. Edit, thanks for all the well wishes and DMs. No, I don't know why comments got locked. I received no messages about it. I'm aware I've got issues with PTSD from war-related things, and mostly in my time as a PMC. What's a PMC?
Private military company.
Okay.
Like security contractors.
Right. I do therapy and talk about everything. Perhaps it's time to add this one to the list. It is odd to me that specific instances pop up, but thanks for allowing me to share it. I still feel bad though, slightly less bad, thanks some to the comments. The helicopter never actually exploded, but yes, I'm aware my rinky-dink extinguisher would have been as useful as a bottle of water. If I remembered correctly, it was a small cockpit fire and the engine had just died, hence my regret for not at least trying. No one's found the article yet, but I appreciate the effort truly. It's why I mentioned it. If it helps, I want to say it was around early afternoon maybe. Definitely not that morning crash people keep sending me where the people survived. I wish it was though. So what do you think? Is OP's wife the a-hole for not letting him save 2 people from a fiery death?
How close were they again?
They were on, like, I guess it was like they were on the freeway and it was like right on the other side of the freeway.
Do you think you could save someone from that?
I don't know. If you saw a helicopter crash on the side of the road, would you stop?
I'd call the cops.
I saw a fire like last week that was pretty big and I called the cops.
Dude.
Yeah. 911 baby. It was the first time I did it actually.
Really?
They asked for my name. Yeah.
Huh.
I've never called 911 before.
That's crazy. I do have a 911 story.
Have you? What did you do?
I called 911.
Wait, really quick. Put your answers in the comments. 1, if you've ever called 911 before and why. And 2, if you saw a helicopter crash, would you try to do something or would you just call 911 or would you do nothing? Riley, what's your 911 story?
I was in 7th grade.
Yeah.
And my dad's friend needed help, cutting down some trees, like some little thin pine trees.
Yeah.
They were dead at his house. So my dad got this dump truck and it was me, my brother, and my dad and his friend. And it was hot. So he's left-handed using a right-handed chainsaw. So he's cutting this tree kind of at this angle right down the middle. And I remember seeing him do it. So I walked around him as he was doing it and he went boom, boom, boom. Right into the face. right into the face.
This is your dad.
This is my dad. You know what the first thing I thought was?
What?
He's gonna have an eye patch. And then my second thing was like, oh, this would be a great time to call 911. And I called 911. They come.
Wait, what happened with your dad's face?
He had to get a metal plate in his face, but he's good now.
But his eyes?
If he didn't have the sunglasses on, he would have lost an eye.
Wow.
But he's good.
Damn, that's crazy.
It was pretty nuts.
Good on you for thinking quick, being calm, and calling 911.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm going to call it on? This story, and I'm going to go to the next one. My boyfriend manipulated me for the last time, so I'm going to throw him out. Am I the a-hole? And this is near and dear to the heart because this is from r/okop show posted by UB2000. So when I, 23 female, was 19, so I guess 4 years ago, I was working at a hotel as a room service attendant. I met a 26-year-old man who worked through a temp agency in banquets. The age difference never really struck me as I already had a thing for older guys. Okay, so he's 7 years older, 19 and 26. I mean,
would you date a 19-year-old?
I think it would be weird dating someone in college. But if it was like a 19-year-old that wasn't in college and like was doing like crazy cool things in the world, maybe. I think it's more of like a less of an age thing and more of like a
interest.
Are you smarter than a 10-year-old?
But looking back, it was rather disturbing that a man with a fully formed brain was interested in someone who had just become an adult that year. In our state, 19 is the age of adulthood. He was charming, and I had a low self-esteem. As we connected, he told me he was homeless. Man, OP, you could do better. Me being the autistic, overly empathetic, and naive people pleaser, I asked my mom if he could stay with us. To my utter shock, she said yes. I was somewhat uncomfortable with the whole thing because I recognized that I hardly knew this man. Why are you inviting a dude that you don't know into your home?
He's charming.
He's charming. He's hot.
He's hot.
Possibly. But again, I was a people pleaser, so I told my mom and said yes. He was always vague about how he ended up homeless, which should have been a red flag, but I blinded myself because he was giving me a lot of attention. I think I was holding out hope that the red flags were to a mini golf course. It's funny of you. We also ended up hooking up the first night, but I honestly didn't know how to feel about that because it was my second time ever with anyone. His manipulation slowly started peeking its way in. It started with him never wanting to leave my room beyond going to work. Weird. He would also make comments about work like, you could never do what I do in banquets, and your day couldn't compare to mine, which did make me feel something of a negative feeling, but I just brushed it off. He then would trash the shows I like and insists we watch stupid shows and scary movies he wanted to watch. It got even more toxic from there. He also at one point tried telling me the new phone I chose for myself was the wrong phone because it wasn't the phone he told me to get. This might sound odd, but I really loved that phone, so that was what started souring my view of him. Then the fateful night started. That evening, I was at work when he drunkenly called me, and I could hear women in the background and whistling with loud music. After I got off my shift, I found him plastered and later found out he spent his entire check at a strip club and never paid my mom for anything, and he's staying in their house. The absolute final straw was when he fell over and smashed one of my bins that held very important, to me at least, craft projects I had spent months upon months completing. I told him he was done. I had tolerated far too much and I was sick of it. He packed his stuff, and at 2 a.m. as I was driving him to work, where he said someone could pick him up, he hopped out of the car at a red light and left his stuff in the trunk. I tried to go after him, but it was seriously dark with minimal street lighting. I ended up the next day dropping his stuff off at security. My boss was pissed, and I tried getting him banned from the property, but couldn't since it happened off the premises and off the clock. That night, I drove to the Walmart and browsed through the clearance section until I felt like it was okay. So he just like ran off.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Jeez. I also fixed my bin with a couple rolls of duct tape from the clearance section, and I fixed some broken crafts. The whole experience left me shaken, angry, sad, betrayed, and confused. But as I look back on it, I'm ultimately proud of myself for kicking him out at all, as any other women in my family would have begged him to come back. I have not been in a steady relationship since, but I've been single by choice the past 2 years and building on myself and my life. Remember, guys and gals, no one has the right to make you feel any negative feelings about yourself. Never let someone tear you down, even if you're strong enough to build yourself back up. We are all worthy of never having to settle. Please let me know if you need to edit this for any reason. Thank you. Thank you for submitting that, and awesome for you to like actually leaving. But OP, never let some random dude live with you again. Yeah. Unless they're very vetted, because that's a little spooky.
And your mom like being like, yeah, Of course.
I'm surprised OP's mom was so chill with it.
Yeah.
My mom would not be chill.
I can only imagine what your mom would say.
My mom would be furious.
We were in the car today and Sam's mom called and she had a list of like things Sam should check on for the house. And I was like, wow, she really loves
bossing me around.
bossing. I didn't want to be, hopefully she doesn't watch this, but like I didn't want to be that way, but she loves him. She loves him a lot.
She cares, but it's intense sometimes. But let's get into this next story.
Mommy issues.
What are you saying? Am I the asshole for telling my son he deserved his girlfriend breaking up with him?
What'd you do, buddy?
My son has had a long distance girlfriend recently for about 2 years. She was great, a really nice girl, and we all loved her and welcomed her with open arms. She was flying here constantly to visit him like a weekend a month, and he didn't lift a finger to go visit her, which is kind of messed up. I tried talking to him about it several times and told him he should really start looking into flying over to her instead of expecting her to do all of the traveling. He said, no, she can come to me. This don't fly. And my wife probably had something to do with it, as she constantly told him she was afraid of him flying. I spoke to them both and said this girl is great for him. She was willing to move over to our country too. Oh, so they're a country away.
Oh.
But said there was one condition, and that was he'd have to fly over to her country too, which is fair enough. He said, no, he didn't want to fly to travel anywhere. My son was becoming lazier and lazier, eventually telling his girlfriend and us that he was perfectly fine never traveling anywhere, including holidays, etc. And last week, he told us she dumped him. I went on her Facebook page and we're all still friends. And she wrote us an apology letter about how she's upset it didn't work out, but these things happen, so we're on good terms. And it looks like she's with a new guy already. That's back. Me and my wife have no doubt she was seeing him while still in a relationship with my son. I confessed to them both that I actually agree with her decision and he should have expected it. He did not treat her properly and I hope he learns lessons for the next one because he needs to make more of an effort. I said he deserves it for his lack of effort in the relationship and for essentially just allowing this girl to spend all her money and time coming here all the time. Wife and son are very upset that I said this, very upset. And my wife says I'm being horrible. So am I the asshole? I stand by what I said. I would love to know what you guys think. Put your answers in the comments if you think OP's the asshole. I think, yes, there is a time to say all of this, but I don't think it's immediately after he just got broken up with.
Yeah.
Because it's like, he's in an emotional state. Yeah. He's not gonna receive that well in that state, you know?
Yeah. I would like to know like kind of the tone he like said it to him.
I mean, it seems like a bad tone.
Was it pretty stern?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems pretty shitty. I don't think if that was my son, I think I would be consoling initially and then be like, hey, like when he's a little bit better, like, hey, I want to talk to you about the relationship. I don't think you treated her right.
Yeah. I feel like the son wasn't considerate because like all the time and money she spent on him whenever he was like, you're all right.
And also, it is a long distance relationship with it that's very hard. And the son's young, you know, like maybe he's also just not that into her too.
Yeah.
It just could be that as well.
It's a learning lesson.
Yeah. It feels like a little bit of an asshole move by OP to like rub into him. But I do think maybe if OP is saying like, hey, if you don't want this to happen again, like this is what you should do, give him advice from that perspective. But I think laying into him while the son is raw is kind of like a little mean.
Yeah. Of course.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Put your answers in the comments. But we're going to get into this next story. Am I the a-hole for being mad at my boyfriend for not taking these noodies the way I like? Or is it noodles?
Noodles.
Oh, it's noodles. These noodles. You're not making noodles the way I like? Are we sure? It's noodles?
Yeah, it's noodles.
It's literally noodles. I thought it was like a code for nudes.
No, noodles.
No, it's noodles. Okay. Am I the asshole for being mad at my boyfriend for not making the right noodles? Okay. I thought it was like, oh, dude, like this angle ain't good. No, it's like the consistency of these noodles is not great.
I want to see your face.
Okay, this sounds dumb, but hear me out. I've always been a picky eater, especially when it comes to tomatoes. That is very specific. Ever since I was a kid, my dad would make my spaghetti different from the rest of the house. I like having an essence of the sauce flavor on the noodles, but not the overpowering flavor of having noodles bathed in sauce. So here's where it gets a bit odd. My dad would separate my spaghetti from the family's after putting the sauce on, and then would rinse the sauce off with the sink strainer. I love noodles like this as it is nice, subtle tomato vibe given to the mild spaghetti. Wow. My 20 boyfriend, 26, has known about this since we started first dating. He always told me my food habits were cute. We've been dating for almost 3 years now and moved in together at the beginning of the pandemic, so we could be in lockdown together. Ever since we moved in together, he insisted on taking charge of cooking and all cooking related tasks, dishes, groceries, shopping, etc. And he assigned me the role of cleaning the bulk of the apartment. We split the other tasks pretty much 50-50. Everything was perfect. And he always seemed to be making noodles the way I liked them when we had them. This was until last week when we had spaghetti. We ate everything and it was good, but afterwards he started teasing me, saying things like, really like your pasta with an essence of tomato, and how was your tomato essence, babe? Always using finger quotes around the word essence. After a few comments, I felt something was off and asked him if he had done anything differently with tonight's noodles than he usually does, and he started laughing. When he finally stopped laughing, he told me the whole truth while smirking. He said, I didn't do anything different than I usually do. I have never been making it the way you requested. But if you don't know,
Break up.
yeah, break up. He lied to you. That lying bitch. He deserves to be broken up with.
Yeah, like it's like, yeah, if you didn't know, then what's the big deal? Like if you still liked it.
Yeah. It's not like you're like, the essence is too essency. I want less essence of tomato.
Yeah.
Too much tomato. Water down, sir.
This is a good thing.
Yeah. Like,
You like
now it
tomatoes
seems
now.
like you have regular spaghetti tastes.
Yeah.
Apparently, the entire time we've been living together, he's just been skipping the pasta sauce on the noodles entirely. Oh, he hasn't been putting anything on. He claimed that if I didn't notice for this long, then it shouldn't matter that he is making dinner in a way that's easier for him. I disagree entirely. I think the lying was a huge breach of trust, and so was the refusal to make dinner how I wanted. I've admittedly been acting passive aggressively to him since, but he thinks he did nothing wrong, that I'm overreacting, and that I need to let it go. Am I the asshole? I want to know what all of y'all think. But I mean, if you don't notice, I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah, no. It's not a big deal at all.
And I don't know if it's a breach of trust.
It's just like
If you were like allergic to peanuts and you put peanuts in there, that would be a breach of trust.
Yeah. But it's like you're making a sandwich for someone and you're like, hey, like don't add mustard and there's mustard in it and then you like mustard. Like
Yeah.
it should like
If you can't tell that it's different, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think that's the rule. I don't know. What do you guys think? Put your answer in the comments. But there is an edit. So my boyfriend found the post and is not happy. I'm debating pouring the sauce directly down the drain to spite him. That's a dick move. So a lot has happened since this morning. Y'all may be happy to hear we broke up. Oh my God, over sauce. We had a huge blow up fight since he found the post, which led to me breaking up with him. Wait, she broke up with him. He did not like being called a predator. What? And I started to think y'all had a point. Wait, the comments are saying he's a predator? What? So I ended up breaking up with him. He attempted to plead with me for a bit, but my parents pay our rent, so he can't afford the place without me. But I wouldn't budge. So now he's homeless? Now, oh my God. Now some things I found out in the argument. First, he is not a pharmacist like he always told me. He just works at CVS. Second, he actually has cheated on me multiple times with other girls that go to my college. And lastly, worst of all, he has never actually been allergic to dogs and just doesn't like him. Okay, I guess he's a dick, but damn.
this is the wildest way of figuring all of that out.
Dude. And like over sauce.
Over sauce and noodles.
All right, don't come with me. All right, you guys better not come at me in the comments and be like, Sam, you're such a dick for not believing or not like thinking the sauce is important because like you should have known all along this guy was a massive lying dirtbag. Don't you know the end of the story? I didn't know the end of the story. Don't come with me in that shit. Yes, she should break up with him because of all the other stuff that's bad, not because of the sauce. I can already hear the comments coming in. Sam, you were judgmental asshole. I like John better. I miss John. I do miss John.
I do miss John.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah, I do miss John.
I did an R.I.P. joke on you.
Yeah.
With
Yeah,
John.
R.I.P. John. Put
Yeah.
R.I.P. John in the comments if you miss him, and write the first line of his eulogy.
Great.
John was my favorite lover and friend.
Damn it, I was gonna say that.
Oh, man. All right. Well, I guess deservedly broke up with, and I'm glad the sauce revealed the holes in your relationship. And it seems like you strained away everything that was bad in your life, which was your boyfriend. But I don't know. Is the sauce thing that important? Let me know in the comments. Am I the asshole for making my girlfriend leave the country? I mean, I, 28 male, have been dating my girlfriend, 27 female, for 5 years. We met in college where she was an international student. She started working after graduating while I'm currently doing a master's. Her company was sponsoring her visa until they got bought out and she got laid off. She was given a limited time to find a new employer to sponsor her a new visa, and it really stressed her out. I've had some friends do that, and it's like a massive stressor because like you get kicked out of the US if you don't have a job. She was applying to jobs every day and did a lot of interviews, but unfortunately wasn't able to get an offer. She really wanted to stay since she loves the place and I would still be here in the country, right? She wants to be with Boo. While I was out with a buddy, he suggested that I sponsor her visa. We have been in a relationship for quite some time. I love her and I didn't want to see her so stressed out, so I told her about the idea. She was hesitant at first. She said she didn't want me to think that she was with me so I could be her way to a permanent residence / citizenship in the country. I wanted her to stay and I wanted to do it. Nice guy. And nothing will go wrong.
Nothing at all. I
Nothing.
mean, it's on Reddit.
It's on Reddit, which means happy endings. Also, put I see you in the comments if you see something amiss in the future. Little darkness in the path. So we consulted an immigration consultant and decided to do the paperwork on our own. She was the one who mostly looked into the stuff we needed to prepare. She still applied for jobs, but not as urgently as she used to. It took a while since we never really had anything joint. We lived together and just split the bills on our own. She had enough saved up to be okay for a while. So they had like separate finances, but they're tying the knot-ish.
Yeah.
I guess so. Within the sponsorship, are they getting married or are they just like he's just a sponsor because they're in a relationship?
I think that.
Yeah, that's what it seems like too. I had to fill out some paperwork to be her sponsor and I felt uneasy about it. I did want her to stay, but it felt like it was too much. Eventually, she was done with her part and all that was left was mine. I finally told her that I didn't want to go through with it.
Dude. This was his idea.
That's really bad because she's like, oh, I don't need to worry about jobs as much because Babu got me.
Dude, it's like.
And also, what makes you uncomfortable about it? Like, that's what I want to know. Like, why are you uncomfortable?
I don't know. Like, maybe she's not wifey.
Maybe she's not wifey. I think that's an indicator that maybe he's like not super into it.
Yeah. But you don't promise somebody something and then like, oh, never mind. Gotcha.
I mean, especially when their livelihood and their ability to stay in the country depends on
solely on you.
On you. Yeah. She was very upset and asked why, which is what I would ask too, which I am asking that right now. I told her that I suggested the idea because I didn't want to see her stressed out all the time and that I eventually realized that I shouldn't have to be responsible for her. We had a long talk where I told her that I still want to be in a relationship with her. Oh, buddy, I don't know if that it's going to survive this, but I just don't want to be forced to be responsible for her. She said she felt very hurt by what I said. Things changed and she didn't really talk to me after. She kept applying for jobs and attending interviews, but eventually her visa expired. Before she left, I told her I love her and that I would really want her to come back. Really? How much do you want her to come back? Because there is a way that you can keep her there.
Yeah.
So you don't really want her back.
No. He wants her to come back, not stay.
Yeah. He wants her to come visit. Come visit. I won't pay for anything.
You can come visit.
We can come visit. However, she told me that she sees me differently after the things I told her.
Yeah.
Duh. It's been a few weeks since she left. I miss her cooking, her presence, and being able to spend time with her. I miss when she just made me all my food. Dude, you could have had it all.
Could have had it all, man. Fill out the paperwork.
I still want a future with her. However, our close friends have been telling me that I was an asshole. I disagree and think they're biased. So here I am asking Reddit, am I the asshole? And there is an edit, but right now he is the asshole for trying to be the angel. That's what the thing is, because he was trying to like save the day and help her with her visa. It is perfectly fine to not offer that, right? He didn't have to offer that. But by offering that, she now wasn't pursuing the work opportunities as much. And now and then by rescinding it, he's just jeopardized her ability to stay in the country. So like he wouldn't be the asshole if he never even mentioned it. Yeah. And said, or just said, oh no, I don't feel comfortable with that.
Yeah.
In the
and
beginning.
then she would have like pursued looking for other jobs.
Yeah. But he's the asshole now because he totally fucked her over.
Dude, I love the part where he was like, I hated seeing her stressed out all the time. So I mentioned this so she wouldn't be stressed out all the time. And then he realized, oh, I don't want to do this. That's what.
And
that's
also,
what
it's like she's stressed out all the time because this is like the biggest thing in her life, and you just completely screwed her. All right, so here's the edit. I've read through a lot of comments and everyone seems to think I'm the a-hole here. To those asking what my responsibilities would be, I would have to be financially responsible for her for 3 years. If she gets any government assistance or social welfare, I would have to pay it back. I also can't sponsor anyone else until the 3 years have passed. Also, I listed what I missed about her in no particular order. I listed that I miss her cooking first, but it doesn't mean I don't miss her. To people who said I'm probably an immigrant too, what does that have to do with anything? My parents moved to where we are now, so here I am. I still stand by what I said. No one I know has to do anything like this. It just doesn't feel normal. I would want to eventually have a home with her, but I don't think anyone should have to be responsible for another person's decisions or their circumstances. It's just gaslighting if you convince someone that they should be. Man, gaslighting. I don't like that gaslighting is thrown about willy-nilly these days. I don't know if anyone will see this edit since it has been a few days. I have updates, so I'll probably do a separate post about it when I have time. The thing is, if you really wanted to be in the relationship, you would help her stay in the country. Like if it was wifey, but maybe you just don't believe that she's wifey.
Yeah. Doesn't seem like she's wifey to you, buddy.
Yeah. But do you think he's the asshole? Yeah.
Oh, 100%. He should have done his research before he like brought it up.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. How is he figuring out that this is what you need to do like months later? It's dumb. It's like if like someone was like, hey, can you turn in my homework to the professor? And the guy's like, yeah, I can turn in your homework to the professor. And then the dude just doesn't turn it in. He's the asshole for not turning it in because he said he was going to turn it in, and now your paper's late and you get an F.
You don't pass the class.
You don't pass the class. You get kicked out of school. Get sent to your home country.
Oh,
feel bad for OP. Yeah, I have a friend in San Francisco that I used to live with, and he's from India, and like he has I think it's like an H1 or H3 visa, HB3 something, HB3, something like that. And he has to have a job, and if he gets like let go or fired, and doesn't get a new job in time, he gets booted from the country, and his whole life is here.
Oh my gosh, that is very rough.
But now I want to rough you guys up and tell you this next story.
Yeah, rough me up.
Am I the asshole for bringing up my brother's premature birth at a family dinner at Christmas to shut my parents up?
If that's what it takes, go at it.
So I am a nurse practitioner, and I am the primary care provider for a lot of the low-risk maternity cases at the practice where I work. I also work hand in hand with the doctors and midwives to create a healthy maternity birth and postpartum situation. My fiance is completing her residency. We live together and have for a few years now. We aren't in any hurry to get married. We originally had plans to do so a couple of years ago, but then we got really busy for 2 years. It is driving my very religious parents crazy that their youngest son is living in sin. Yeah. Festering in sin. I don't really care. I'm an adult and I do what I want. We are getting married in June. So it's like, I mean, they're getting married, but they're like, oh, they're living together. They're sinful babies. So we are visiting my parents for Christmas. The way it came together this year, everyone is at my parents' house. So that's my folks, my 3 siblings, myself and my fiance, and 7 grandchildren. So 17 people total.
Big group.
At dinner, my mom starts going on about how she is so glad that we are finally getting married and she won't be embarrassed at church anymore. Wait, Riley, really quick. If this kind of thing happened, like would like a parent or something, maybe not your parents, but someone else's, like, is that true? Like people would be embarrassed if like you're living together.
Yeah. If I was living together with a girl and we're not married, my parents would be kind of like disappointed.
Even if it's a fiance?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. They don't want any of that. Cause like no sex before marriage. So like if you're living together, you're doing it. But if you're not living together, you're definitely not doing it. in their eyes.
What if you have separate beds?
Like in the 50s in the TV shows.
Yeah.
You could probably convince them. Be like, hey, there's no way she could be on this bed with me.
Yeah. It's too small.
It's way too small. It's a twin.
No one has ever had sex in a twin bed before.
That's crazy.
It's for one person.
One person.
Yeah. And my dad says how proud he is of his 3 older kids who all either waited to get married before moving in together or got married right away after moving in together. My fiance was getting embarrassed and I was getting mad over this stupid argument we've had too many times, and a family dinner was the last straw. I've asked them repeatedly to just accept that they cannot control how I live my life. I refuse to stay with them when I visit, even if I come alone. Hotels are just easier because I guess they're not judging him as much. So I started talking about a premature baby I had been reading about. It was almost 3 months premature and weighed about 1.6 pounds. So if your friend was 4 months premature, it was probably like a pound baby.
Yeah.
Riley was 8 pounds. His brothers were 10 pounds, 1.6 pounds. It was super strong and healthy for being born so little, and the NICU had high hopes for the baby doing well. My mom and dad both got deer in the headlights looks on their faces. Too bad. Should have not effed around about my fiance's feelings. So I asked about my oldest brother. He was born about almost 4 months premature. Is there a chance that we could check out the family album where we keep all the records of family births and stuff? I already know my brother was over 9 pounds and 23 inches long when he was born, which is huge. My grandmother told me all about it the first time my parents tried to shame me. The baby was not 4 months premature because they got pregnant 4 months before they got married.
Ooh.
Oh,
Math ain't mathin'.
The subject gets changed very fast. After supper, my parents told me that I should not try to embarrass them with private things that are not my concern. I told them if I ever heard anything about my living arrangements ever again for the rest of my life, I would make sure to keep bringing up the fact that my mom was in her 2nd trimester when they got married. My parents are mad at me for telling them how to behave in their own house, but my fiance is happy that they seem to be off the subject for good. So am I the asshole?
What do you think?
I mean, I think they started it by critiquing OP's life. And also they were judging his life first, right? Like they were like, all right, don't live together. Like they're being hypocrites. They're being hypocrites. And he didn't even say like, oh, I know you had before marriage. He was just alluding to the fact that they did without being like outright saying it, just almost as like a little bit of a warning, like, hey, you're being a hypocrite. How far do you want me to keep going with this? So I don't think the asshole, but it is, I mean, if he's told them multiple times to be like, hey, I don't want you talking about this, what else is there to do? This seems like he had to go to this point.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. It is very sensitive information in a religious family to bring that up because it's very frowned upon.
What, you mean with the parents?
Yeah, like if
the
parents and stuff. It's like,
yeah, and it's like why you want to put your son down all the time?
Yeah,
I don't think that's a good vibe.
It's not, especially if that's what you did.
Yeah, exactly. The hypocrisy is insane. But I would love to know what you guys think. Put your answers below. Do you think Opie is the asshole for pointing out that his parents were getting frisky before marriage? And I think with that, that's the end. Yeah,
that's the wrap.
That's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed this extra juicy episode. And if you miss John, please say, rest in peace, John. Our prayers go to you. Please come back.
Please come back. I miss you.
And I miss you. All right, I'll see you soon.